here to share about my experience at San Diego Comic Con 2015. My name is Jason, and I had the best Comic Con ever. I came there on the last day. I didn't know how things worked out, but I wanted to get into Hall H because I wanted to see the new Batman v Superman trailer and hopefully catch a glimpse if they were going to show Suicide Squad 1, which they did. I was really disappointed that I couldn't get in because you needed these bracelets that were given out the day before to get inside. And, well, I didn't have any, so it was a huge disappointment, but we went inside the Warner Brothers, like Hall G or something, and it was nice. It was nice seeing everything, but I was honestly disappointed, even though going to Comic-Con is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, pretty much. But, I remember I got to see the Arrow signing, and I didn't get to go in there because you needed bracelets for those as well. But I got to look at it from afar, and Diggle from Arrow and Lance actually noticed me, and it was pretty cool. So eventually the time came when I went to the DC Entertainment booth because I heard that the Batman v Superman cast were going to do a signing there. So me and my family went, and I took a picture with a few of the suits, and it was pretty cool because I was in my Joker costume from Suicide Squad movie, and I also met the dude who plays Nightwing in the YouTube Nightwing series, so he's a pretty nice guy. We were talking on Facebook the other day. He's pretty cool, and so we found out where Ben Affleck and all them were actually going to sign, and so we just waited there. We were like the first ones at the front of the line. There was being super nice to you, but of course for this signing you needed bracelets as well, and there were only 75 given out. And of course I didn't have one of the bracelets, so we just sat there, but I still wanted to see Ben. I wanted to see Batman, and I wanted to see Superman. I wanted to see all of them. So we were just waiting there, talking to some people in the line and stuff, and I kept chatting up with Larry because he was a huge DC Comics fan, and he was super nice and funny. And Larry was talking about the new Batman v Superman trailer, and he told me that there was one coming out, and I was super excited. And some dude in the line actually said that it was just released on Twitter, and I got to see it, but it was like really bad quality, and I couldn't really see much. So, but it was still cool. So, when the time came that the cast actually came, they came right by, and like right by where I was standing, and I was recording, and I kept yelling, "Ben, I love you," and he did notice, but he looked at the wrong side of the crowd. I also said "I love you" to Henry, and Henry noticed me. He smiled, and I was freaking out because that was enough for me. Like, it was amazing that Superman noticed me, and people started going in, and I told the one guy, I was like, "Hey, can you tell Ben that I love him?" And he rolled his eyes at me, so I was like, "Oh, okay." But once they were all done with the people with the bracelets, there were still some posters that the cast were to sign, that there was still some left. So, knowing as Larry and I were talking and he liked my family, he let us in, and I was crying. I couldn't believe it. I felt so blessed, and I went up and I talked to Holly Hunter and Alfred, and I just broke down and I started crying. Everyone in the crowd was like laughing. They were saying "aw" and stuff. It was just amazing to see these people that mean so much to me, basically gods when you're a fan. It was amazing. So we kept walking and stuff, and passed by Wonder Woman, and I talked to her. I passed by Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor actually took a picture of me. It was pretty cool. I ended up on their Instagram page, and then I came to Henry, and I started talking to him, and he asked me why I was crying so much, and I couldn't stop crying, and I was like, "Wow, it's Superman, like, I can't believe it." And then he was like, "Yeah," and he asked me, he was like, "Who's your favorite superhero?" And I was like, "Batman." And he was like, "Oh, really?" And at the moment, Ben wasn't sitting down there. He was actually talking to Jeremy Irons, Alfred, and I was going to continue anyways because I felt so grateful that I was like, you know what, if I don't get Ben's autograph, it's whatever. So, and then he told me, "You're not leaving until Ben comes back." So Ben came back, And as soon as he saw me, he said, "What's wrong, buddy? Why are you crying?" And I was like, I broke down like the most right there. I was like, "I can't believe it. You're Batman. You're my hero." And he told me, he was like, "What's your name?" And he reached out and shook my hand. I was like the only person he shook hands with, and I was like, "My name is Jason," and he was like, "Hi, Jason. My name is Batman." And it was just amazing for me. And um, the posters that they were signing, they were not signing them by name, so they weren't saying like to Brad or to Angela or whatever. But for mine, since he noticed I was such a huge fan, he put to Jason. I was the only person who got a poster dedicated to myself, and I felt honored. And when we left, I shook hands with Zack Snyder too, and I told him, "Without you, none of this would be happening." And he told me it's just business. And I left, and I noticed that I hadn't grabbed the right poster. But it turned out that my sister did get the right poster. When we left, I shook hands with Zack Snyder too, and I told him, "Without you, none of this would be happening." And he told me it's just business. And I left, and I noticed that I hadn't grabbed the right poster. But it turned out that my sister did get the right poster. And some guy saw me crying outside, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I just can't believe I'm a Batman." And he was like, "Oh, okay, so you're alright?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Oh." And then so my sister grabbed the right poster, and it said to Jason. And she said that Ben Affleck even took his time on it. So it was amazing, and I'll never forget that experience meeting Batman. And the cast, so nice. And it was the best day of my life. Comic-Con 2015 was amazing. I'll never forget it. And it was just awesome. So I wanted to make this video not only to shed light on how amazing Comic-Con can be and how awesome of an experience it can be if you go find tickets, but also to show you that the cast of the DC Extended Universe are great people, and they're going to make sure that these movies that are coming out are epic. So just have faith in them, have faith in Ben, have faith in Henry. Batman v Superman is going to be the best superhero movie of all time, I assure you.